forward and get into it. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our mental health conversations where we speak all things mental health and God. You see, with the journey of mental health, everybody has got their own different journeys on how they've overcame their stories. Us as Pro Positive, we always want to look on the bright side. We always want to focus on the positive side because we believe that in the world filled with so many negativities and so many reasons to be sad, we choose to just remain positive. So today, without wasting any time, everybody, we have our amazing guest. She is close to my heart. She is my baby. She is my baby. So today's conversation is going to be very interesting because there is a generational, it's a different generation, and it's family. So I cannot wait to just get into it because sometimes you sit with somebody and you say, I know her, but we really don't understand how was the journey for her and everything. So we have Sisanda Ndzwayiba, my firstborn, my niece, and she calls herself an intersectional feminist, and she is also a passion-driven mentor and a PCOS survivor. Today we will be talking about her journey as a PCOS survivor, and she said that her topic will be adversity doesn't define me. Welcome, Sisanda. How are you? Thank you. Yes, I can hear you. I don't know if everyone can hear you. I don't know if anybody can just. Oh, she is muted. Isana, you are muted. Please click on your mic. Perfect. Yes, now you can.
You guys hear me
Yes, now
now?
we can hear you. Yes, now we can
Then
hear
I'll have
you.
to reintroduce myself. I am Sisanda Ndzwayiba and I am 23 years of age. And as the bio noted, an intersectional feminist, a mentor, and a PICA survivor. I didn't know how else to put that, but I'll delve into that later. Thank you for tuning in to listen to me speak. May I begin?
Yes, ma'am. Let's not waste any more time. Please get right into it. I can't wait. So take us through your journey.
All right. So since I'm going to be speaking on my PCOS, I'll try to give a summary of everything else in my life so that I can get there and not waste any time.
Okay.
So I've been I'd say I grew up with two parents, a family of three siblings, and yeah, the person that you see here, my aunt, besides my parents, she's the person I've known the longest in my life. Anyways, I've been an overachieving child academically, so that's been. I'd like to start my journey there. I've grew up in boarding school as well, so there's that. I learned my independence very long ago. Anyways, to get into what I wanted to talk about, growing up in boarding schools, you have to acquaint yourself with people. You have to know you have to have your very strong circle, which I'd say that for as long as I've been in boarding school, I've had that. It's been very solid also. And to get into what I actually wanted to talk about, I'd say it started in 2014. On just a random day during class, during our creative class, I was in grade 9, and I loved acting, I loved drama, everything dramatic. So it was our last period, and as time went by, I started to feel abdominal pain. Actually, it was my belly button. I know anytime I mention it, people freak out. It was my belly button. I started feeling pain there, and I was close with my teachers, and everyone knew that I'd never be sick. So whenever I'd start freaking out in class, it freaked everyone out. But as I got sick, I asked that one of my friends that I stayed in my room, a very close friend of mine, I asked that she come pick me up because I couldn't manage in class. I was
Mm.
crying, I was screaming, and besides me freaking out, it freaked everyone out. So she came in, and then she took me back into our room, and then she started. I asked her that she could call my dad and tell him that I'm not feeling well. And where I stayed, I was at UK, and I'm originally from Tata. Sorry for not mentioning that. So my dad came rushing because yeah, I never feel sick at all before that. I was a very healthy child. So I
Mm.
got sick. My dad came and it was he took me home. But then when I got to my doctor, since he's been my childhood doctor, he was like, "No, it's nothing much. He just suspected period pains." And I did say, "Guti, it was not that at all because." I know period pains. I know them. They're very, very painful. It's been something that I struggled with my entire life. So it was that. And then that was in 2014, right? And then as as time went by, every time of the month when it was close to my ovulation, I'd feel that pain again. And I was given meds, so I'd have to take those meds. And they would relieve the pain, but it was not how I'd want to feel. So, since I was told by my doctor that it's nothing big, I'd note everything down because I'm a writer. So, as a person that's school driven and whatsoever, you want to take note of everything. So I'd do that and I'd write everything down. And then I went back because I was also feeling sick and I was far from home. So when that year ended, my parents advised that I get home because so that I could be close to them and not fall sick away from home. So I went home and the thing continued every month around my ovulation. I'd fall sick and it was something very stressful because I'd go to the doctor and he wouldn't see anything. We'd do ultrasounds and stuff, but there was nothing. So it was really stressing me out. But then at the back of my mind, since this doctor has been my doctor for the longest time, they knew that I fall sick. They knew that I was a crybaby. So for him, he was like, "Don't worry, it's just you being a baby, nothing serious." But I'm a very persistent person, so I knew that I'd have to get an opinion, a second opinion sometime later. So grade 12 came and everything I wished for happened. I got into the university of my choice, UCT. I studied financial accounting. But then one thing that was at the back of my mind for as long as I could remember, I'm so sorry, I'll be coughing and sneezing. I have a flu. So please take note of that. I'm really not
It's
trying to be
okay.
rude.
It's okay.
Anyways, as all right, I got into Cape Town and I found myself a doctor and I wanted to follow up this because it was really stressing me out because I'd fall sick every time of the month. And when I fall sick, I'd have to go home, not attend classes. So it was the first thing I wanted to address. Excuse me. So I got my doctor, I got my things. I told her everything because she's a new doctor. She doesn't know my history of being a crybaby, as my doctor would say. So she took everything extremely serious when I told her everything. And as I said, I was writing down everything. So it was easy to describe everything in detail because I'd been writing my list of things. And then I got there, and then she referred me to a radiologist. They did a scan, and I was diagnosed. Actually, I was diagnosed, but they said Guti, they'd followed up later. It was polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS in short, which is what I like to talk about the most. That was that, and and then I had to go back with that to my doctor. I went back there, and I also did my research on it. So that was in 2019, and when I found out, Guti, this is what has been bothering me, everything made sense. And as everyone could see, my face is like this, very spotty. The abdominal pain, the period pains, everything just made sense. And the one thing that had been bugging me for long, mental health, mental ill health. That was the one thing that made sense because with PCOS, it's not just that my ovaries have cysts around them. It's an hormonal imbalance. So that just made sense of everything. And as relieved as I would have been, it depressed me so much that I'm sick with this. It's a hormonal imbalance. It can't be treated. So I just had to settle that this is what I have. It wasn't easy. I won't lie. It really wasn't easy because I know that there's nothing that can be done. I just have to be put on birth control. And birth control is not nice at all because I was also very young. So I'm okay. I ask a lot of questions. So I asked for my options. There were the patch, everything. And then when I asked my doctor, they preferred the pills. I really didn't like the pills. I don't like, I'd forget them and stuff. So I'd like to say before everything was just coming at me very fast. And before I accepted everything, things just got worse. My face got worse, the breakout would get worse. And then everything was just too much. I don't want to lie. But then when the diagnosis was actually made, that was in October 2019, if I can recall properly. And then I was writing my exams then also. So it was just that, write everything, go home, and then I'll process everything when I get home. And fortunately, my doctor had emailed everything to me, and then they just gave me pills to get me through the exam period. And then when I went home, I went to my doctor, and as a person that likes to be right, I had to brag a good tea. I did say something was wrong, and if something was wrong, really. So I got there, and then they referred me to a dermatologist for my face because it wasn't like this. It was way worse, and my self-esteem had taken a dive. It was I had to address my face. I had to go to a dermatologist also. So when all of that happened, I came back with like 9 pills to take, and I'd like to think that was overwhelming because I take pills for my face and I take pills for my abdomen. So taking those pills, I think the one thing that got to me, and I'd say it was a turning point, not for the better, but for the worst, because the pills that I was taking, I'd say that most of them weren't working together. Yes, it wasn't very coherent because I'd take these and then the side effect would be depression. And I'm like, I already have this. I'm already stressed. I can't be going through so much.
Mm,
But
mm,
then I had to because I didn't have another choice. I had to take them. So I take for abdominal pain and I'd read the side effects. All of them have more abdominal pain as a side effect. The others have anxiety, and I'm already someone with anxiety, so it was a lot. It was really a lot, and I don't think I managed. I don't want to lie. 2020 came, COVID. We have to be stuck at home, and being stuck at home, having school, still having to deal with accepting my new reality. It was very hard. Also, I don't want to lie, and taking everything because life doesn't stop just because you're having a bad day, you're having a bad year. Things have to go on, and with school academics, lecturers don't always hear you out. So I had to soldier on, but I was really struggling. So I had to contact the school psychologist, and then what they told me was that okay, they'd have to subscribe antidepressants and anxiety pills. So on top of already taking 9 pills, I had to add the other two.
mm,
And I'd like to say my body was really rejecting everything. It was too much at
mm,
one go. It was rejecting everything. And I fell sick again. And on top of being physically sick, I was also mentally ill. That was one thing that really I really struggled with accepting because if I'm not in bed, I'm trying to study and everything was just too much. But then I was able to pass the year, and then 2021 comes, we're back on campus. And with being back on campus, and as I said, I'm an academic person, so I really wanted to take everything seriously. My classes, everything had to be in order because yeah, I need to follow an order. Everything of mine has to be very coherent. So there was that also. And then with my classes and my tutorials, I wanted to attend everything because I like to do my things. I don't like watching videos. I had to attend. But then with everything that I'm taking and me being ill, I'd have to miss some days at school. I'd have to, and it was very strange because I'm not the person that misses their lectures, their tutorials. So stress was also piling up because I was doing my final year courses. Yes, 2021. I was doing my final year. So pressure to graduate is there. Pressure from family also because when you grow up having overachieved, everyone is expecting so much. And my health is also declining. And I also have big goals for myself also. So everything was just too much. And I was really struggling, especially mentally, because I'm taking antidepressants, I'm taking everything, but I wouldn't say I was seeing any results for everything because these pills are not working together as they should. And then I finally stopped with everything else. And then I just focused on, I was left with the birth control and my antidepressant and anxiety pills. So that kept me going. But one thing that comes with antidepressants that we never told is that you end up not feeling. I was feeling numb. I was just like a zombie. You wake up, go to school, come back. I wouldn't say that was a very nice feeling, and I
Mm,
didn't like feeling that way.
mm,
So I started with the pills again, and I was just like, I'm not gonna take anything. My face is gonna look the way it is. If I have to bear the abdominal pain, then so be it. So my academics started declining. I really don't want to lie. And I went back to my doctor. And I said, as I read on everything, as I did my research, I saw that I can have an operation, but they said I'm still very too young to operate because 2021 I was 20 at the time. So it was really a matter of having to accept things as they are and having to bear the pain. I really didn't manage. As a result, I flunked all my courses and then I had to stay and I had to repeat my entire final year. It wasn't easy, but one thing that I'd say, as much as I did feel the pressure from my family, they were also very supportive, and my friends, everyone was just like, it's okay, it's not the end of the world. And then I had to repeat everything last year. I repeated again, but as I said, I'm off my meds. I'm just winging life, as us youngsters would say. I was just winging everything, no pills. And then I'd fall sick, and then I'd just pop pain meds. That was just the cycle. I anticipate being sick at some time of the month, and then I pop pills, and that was that. I like to say that was very bad. That was a very bad decision because as much as I'd say that I was functioning, I really wasn't functioning. I would say that I was still a zombie because I really struggled at school, and it was so strenuous because I'm like I've been an overachieving child. I did this last year. I'm repeating. So why is this happening? And then at the end of the year, I still fail again. But I'm like I understand why, but I'm not feeling well. I was very disappointed because I really tried to give it my all. And with higher education institutions, you don't have all the time there to spend. So I one thing that I was dreading my entire life, I was academically excluded. Yes, that was a shock. And then I tried to appeal, and then everything just wasn't working out. My appeals weren't going through. Everything was just a mess. Everything was a mess. So at the beginning of this year, as I'm trying to fix, because as a final year student, you can choose to do your courses elsewhere. And I was like, I really don't want Cape Town. Cape Town has been a lot for me. I just want to be home. So I tried with UNISA to be at home. It also didn't work out. So I was just like, everything is not working out at all. Everything was just a mess. And then
mm,
as I'm trying to fix the UNISA thing and trying to accept things as they are, there's a weekend that I was doing chores since it was just me and my dad at home. And then I fell sick, and then my abdomen was bloated. I really couldn't walk. I was crawling, and then my dad got home. As I said, I'm a very sick person now. So anytime there's something, everyone has their guards up because it's something serious. And then my dad arrived, and then he said, we should go to the hospital. But because, as I've said, I've been a person that was just popping pills, I was like, I'll just take some pills and sleep it off. Slept it off. But the same thing was still there the following morning. I still couldn't walk. But the most dreadful thing was that I also had diarrhea, so I had to walk. And then I did tell my dad, yeah, no, it's not working now. I really need to go. And then everything moves so fast. One moment I'm at the doctor, I'm at my GP. The next I'm at the gynecologist. The next I'm being told that I'm being booked to be in hospital to have my surgery. And I was very relieved because a few years back I was told that I had to be a certain age. I was still too young to operate. But then I got my operation and I removed the cyst. And yeah, for the first time, I could say that I could be able to breathe. And with everything that went on, I'd like to say maybe it was the universe or God just trying to force me to take care of my health, because I was just like, you know what, it's fine. But then it was something that I had to pay attention to. So I was like, no more academics. I'm just going to be home. I'm just going to nurse myself back to health. It was a harsh reality to accept, but it was something that had to happen. It was something that I had to deal with. And I'm glad that all that happened because, yeah, I didn't register for school. I'm like years late of graduating, but my health is better. It's so much better. The abdominal pain doesn't come anymore, and no more panic attacks, no more anxiety attacks. And I'd like to think I'm functioning without pills. And it's not easy. Some days are harder than others because I'd also like to wake up and say that I've achieved something, I've amounted to something. But then having a very supportive structure, people have always assured me that it's okay, it's not the end of the world, you're going to be able to do this. And all that assurance, I think as much as my physical health is better, my mental health is also way better. And that is what I'd like to say, Guti. Adversity that definitely didn't define me, and I'm starting to accept that. And yes, that's been me and my journey.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sisanda. I'm so sorry. I have to mute my side because we have an echo since she is on the other room. However, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And your journey, you've said so many things, but sometimes as elders or we overlook things and say, no, she's just a crybaby. It's going to be fine. But this is something that you struggled with from 18 years, am I correct? Or 19 years. You're unmuted. Susanna, your mic is
Sorry
muted.
about that. I wasn't 19. At 19, that's when I started paying attention to it. I'd like to say at 14 years because yeah, it was 2014.
At 14 years, some of us here are mothers, and some of us are actually in the university, or some been to university. Sometimes I don't know if you get my point, but sometimes we overlook things, especially with babies, that what, I also had a pain like that. It's going to be fine. Or, it's going to be okay. And we overlook something maybe that could have paid attention at that time, maybe could have gotten better medication or whatever. But when you eventually got medication, you're now taking 10 pills, and you're also a first year student. And now what I want to find out from your side, because university is a lot. And there's a lot of people expect you, or family expect you, to just get there and study and pass. They don't understand the level of mental health and the realities that you have to deal with when you get to university, because that's when you spend a lot of time, not just with yourself, but with yourself as an adult. But how is it like for you, Sisanda, to be taking so much medication and also in university? And also, you were doing very well. I think we need to also take into note that you were doing very well in the first year, but also nobody saw nobody saw that you were also struggling, you know? How was that like?
I'd like to say it was very frustrating not being heard, because when I talk to everyone, I'm like, I'm struggling, but academically I'm achieving everything, I'm doing well. And by my health, I'm gonna say I'm struggling, but people can see good. I wake up, I go to my classes, and I think the most frustrating part was that I have to show up, regardless of me struggling, but I had to show up. Because at the end of the semester, everyone is expecting results, or at the end of the year. And as I said, lectures, they'll hear you, but they won't hear you. So I had to keep it going. I had to keep it moving, regardless of me struggling, regardless of all the expectations. I still had to show up for myself, because besides everyone else having expectation, I also had my own expectations for myself. I also had a standard that I had set for myself. So it was very overwhelming. And as I've said, as a person that also has anxiety, it was really difficult, because one moment I'm having a call, one moment I have things to do, and then the next I'm having anxiety attacks, I'm struggling with sleeping. So it was very difficult. It was very overwhelming. As I said, it was the a turning point, not for the good. Yeah.
Wow. You know, everybody, we are going to open our conversation. If you have any questions for Sisanda, or you would like to add any contribution, please do know that our mic is open. You can always request the mic by raising your hand. Sisanda, I also have, I don't know, this is going to be the platform, of course, where I get to ask the things maybe I've been meaning to ask. Um, but I also have a question. You mentioned that you learned to be independent at a very young age. Actually, if everybody knows, you were from grade 1 in the boarding school, so you had to be independent. So you've been showing up. You've been showing up for yourself from a very young age. And I don't know, do you feel like there was a time maybe when you were in university, because it was not new for you? You were always alone in from primary school. You were always independent, and you were always showing up, and you were an overachiever. You were always doing very well. Even when you got to school, you were a tutor. You did very well. But when did you realize that, you know what, I need to sit back and just listen to myself? When did you get to that space?
I don't think I gave myself time to actually sit down and say and come to the realization that I'm really struggling. It was always something at the back of my mind that I'm struggling. Everything seems to be falling apart. But I had to show up because I had a lot of commitments. And as I mentioned, I was a mentor. So mentoring was also something that really kept me going, something that I was like, I have this under control. But when I first struggled with also mentoring, when I couldn't show up, because I was a head mentor, so I had to show up for other mentors. But when I couldn't show up even for that, that's when I knew that, yeah, it's difficult. Everything is just falling apart. But then I didn't do anything about it, because life had to go on. I had to write my test for school. I had to do everything. I just had to do everything. And one thing that I didn't mention, last year also, my mom got into an accident. So that was also something that was piling up over everything else that was difficult. But I didn't even take time to sit down and just sit with my emotions and everything, which is why I said at the end, I think, yeah, God works in mysterious ways. So I think everything else falling apart was just the point that I was forced to sit down with everything and accept everything as they are. Because I really think I was operating in denial, even though I would like to think that I was self-aware, but I was also operating on denial.
Yes, I love that. I'm going to put a few people on the spotlight. I'm going to start with Sia Togoza. Sia Togoza, I don't know if you can unmute your mic, and I just want to have your perspective, or what was your take from this conversation, or if you have a contribution or a question. Can you please unmute your mic, Sia Togoza?
Hi everyone. Okay, I'm
Hi,
Siyathokoza.
welcome.
Thank you. Personally, I I like the topic because I think I wasn't aware exactly of what PCOS is until also maybe I think I learned about it actually through TikTok. So I was very, very interested as to finding out how you actually come about um surviving it and stuff like that, because I feel like with the amount of information that we're presented with, it's so easy to actually self-diagnose and to find out, okay, why not see I have this thing and stuff, because you just start to overthink and have anxiety, like she says, and stuff like that. But I think that I also liked how she explained her whole process of how she came about being diagnosed and stuff like that, and how she actually fought through everything with with her PCOS
Mhm.
problem, if I may use that word. So
Because
yeah. So yeah, for me, honestly, it was just enlightening in terms of like finding out exactly how does one go through that and how do you fight it off and stuff like that. Because I feel like we make the mistake of self-diagnosing so much. What if in my head I'm like, yo, I don't know if I have it. I don't know if I do have it. But I think you made everything clear as to the symptoms, and how you actually dealt with everything also made things clear as to how serious it is and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't have much to say. I appreciate the enlightenment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Siyathokoza, for that contribution. You're right. I also did not know what was PCOS actually before Sisanda had PCOS. And I didn't know for a very long time that she was struggling with PCOS. We just thought it was just it was just she was just taking medication, and we didn't know, we really didn't know until she was later diagnosed. So sometimes we overlook certain things because of course we are not more informed, or we don't research, or we don't know about them, and we overlook them, especially when it's kids, when it's your younger siblings as well. We have a hand, Jedidah. Jedidah, I don't know, there's also Jedidah is also our host and our co-host. So Jedidah, I'm going to put you on the spotlight because I know you have a contribution, but whatever that is coming. Susanna also mentioned that the whole PCOS that we overlooked and she didn't get help from, it affected her mental health, and she also had hormonal imbalance, of which that is also something that had affected her. I don't know, sometimes people go through mental health and issues that affect them without even knowing that maybe you have PCOS, but you don't even know that it's affecting your mental health, or you have this hormonal imbalance. You don't know that you can always get help or things like that, because some of us are adults. So I'm going to put you on the spotlight with whatever that you are sharing. I just want you to touch on that fact. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Tabitha, for the opportunity. First of all, literally, after this, I'm going to be checking on my cousin because she has had hormonal issues like from the moment she started her period. And it's something she has now learned to live with. And so I think having listened to Sisanda, for me, it's like actually she has shared her experience with me. She has told me how many times she has had to go to the doctor. She's been put on um, contraceptives, also from a very young age. Similar story, also very much of an overachiever, also went to boarding school, very similar story. And I realize now, listening to you, Sisanda, that you know what, as her sister, I didn't give her condition the right amount of attention. And I think just as a family as a whole, I don't think we've really understood what she's been going through, because even with her, it has affected her skin, irregular periods, having to go to the doctor. Like, it's just a lot. And I realized that in as much as we have sympathized, we haven't really invested in understanding what it is she has been going through as a person. And so for me, definitely it's a turning point to be like, wait, actually, I need to check on her and check on her for real, not just the usual, how are you doing? How was the doctor's visit? But like really, really check, how is your heart? How is your mind? How do you feel about the future? Because I know that, that condition could also affect your ability to have kids in the future for some people. And how does that sit with you as a female, as someone with hopes and dreams and aspirations? What does that look like for you and your future? And so definitely I'll be doing a proper check-in with her. But the thing that I really wanted to speak on, Sisanda, just from your share, is just two major points that stuck out for me. The one, just when you spoke about how, as a leader, because I'll definitely put you in the category of a leader, being a mentor, always being so independent from such a young age, those are like high leadership qualities for an individual that to an extent you couldn't even allow yourself to feel the pain. You couldn't allow yourself to feel tired. You couldn't feel allow yourself to fail. Like it wasn't even in your scope of possibilities in such a way that you had to force yourself to either ignore the pain or act like it wasn't as serious or as heavy for you as it actually was. And I think for a lot of people in leadership, and I think that's just kind of been the tone for me this week, whether you're in ministry, and by ministry I'm referring to like church, or you are in whatever capacity of leadership, there are times that because so many people expect so much of you, and because it's just normal for you to always have it together, you don't even have grace for yourself to say, I'm struggling, I'm failing, it's a lot, I need a moment, I need to stop, I can't handle all of this. And so for me, I feel that you have jumped so many milestones in your adult life that a lot of people even now have not yet hit. They are not at a place where they can allow themselves to say, something is telling me I'm not okay, I need to stop. The fact that I can't show up for other people is an indicator that I'm not okay. I need to take care of self before I can take care of others. And so, in as much as what you went through was so hard, but God was so gracious to you as to teach you those lessons at such a young age, because only He knows as well what your future holds. And because you now have those skills and those tools in your bag, it will make even you going back to university, you achieving your goals a lot more um, easier in a sense, because you now have the tools of, I need to be aware of myself. Even as a leader, I need to check in with myself, even with the expectations and people's high standards. What do I want for me? And not to take too long, I think my next point was just for a lot of us, coming to terms with the fact that life won't always go as planned has been a hard lesson for us to learn. And you have had to learn it when you have had to learn it, which again, for me, I believe serves as an advantage for you, because you are now learning to accept that life won't always give me the roses I've been tending the garden for. It won't always give me the results that I want. But the fact that I'm still alive means I can try again. The fact that I'm still alive means I can wake up and try again tomorrow and still hope that it's going to get better. And there are a lot of people that, because their entire lives they've never struggled, the moment life gets hard, other people end up committing suicide. Other people just give up because they don't know what it is to fail. But you have been given an opportunity to, quote unquote, fail in a way which to me is not a failure. It was just a learning curve for you. But because you've had that experience now, life is going to be so, so much better for you, because you're going to take it as it comes. You're going to show grace to yourself. You're going to love yourself. You're going to be kind to yourself, which a lot of us have only had to learn like so much later in our lives. And so for me, really, it was not a disappointment. It was not a letdown for you. It was just God adding tools to your bag for the journey that He has in store for you. And so for me, those are like my takeaways from the conversation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Actually, Jedidah, you're right. You didn't know any better with regards to your cousin. And thank you, Sisanda, for sharing. Now we'll all pay as much more attention. And thank you for speaking live, sis. Thank you for speaking live. And definitely, I agree with you. You know, I'm am I 11 years older than Sisanda? I'm 11 years older than Sisanda or 10 years older than Sisanda. But you know, it's so funny. From a very young age, I had learned so much from her because of her independence. And we always said that, you know, because I've always like, we never stress about her. We never stress or worry about her because she's always have everything figured. Now, when she's struggling, it was an eye opener for us as well to say, you know what, okay, now we need to understand she's not our baby anymore. Let's sit her down and just let her know that she is going to be just fine because she is definitely a leader. I'm going to put two people on the spotlight, and I really love to put Dalito as well as Dike Lady. So I'm going to start with Dike Lady. Please unmute your mic.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Tabisa, for the opportunity. You know, Jedidah has spoke so much. She has ministered such power. I believe she channeled Dike Lady tonight. So I'm not going to take away from what she said, because I think that is an important message that she has relayed to Sisanda. So it is the first time for me learning of PCOS. And as a mom to a 16-year-old daughter, it is really an eye-opener. And I think I speak for most of the people that are actually on tonight, that we did not know of such things. And, you know, it is important to have such conversations, especially around, you know, menstrual health and anything to do with the womb, because a lot is just ignored, because you think, it's a period pain, you know. Dike Lady can work with period pains, she can survive. So therefore, when you are complaining that the pain is severe, you're just being a baby, or you just, especially in the workplace, you find where they say, you just want a day off or whatnot, you know, where it's important for such things to be known, or such topics to be spoken of. Like for me, the only thing closest to period pains that is severe is endometriosis and fibroids. You know, if you've got those things, then you can struggle. And it's very important for men to be actually pulled into these conversations. You know, I commend your dad for being there the whole time, because you did not speak much about your mom. I even thought that your mom is not in the picture, you know, because your dad has always been there and just supporting you and taking you, and it was never a, why are you talking to me and not your mom? I mean, this is something that is regarding your womanhood that you're talking of. Why are you calling me? So two things that I took out of this, it's actually a joke, it's not real takeouts. Like, do not be an overachiever, because if you're an overachiever, there's a lot of expectations, and that creates a whole lot of weight on you. It puts a lot of weight on yourself. So the other thing is change doctors. It is important to get, you know, second opinion. And it is very true. When you spoke of being with just one doctor, it reminded me of me with my headaches, or at least I thought it's headaches at the time, because every time I go to my doctor, it's just Panados, Panados, Panados. But now this thing is happening every month, you know, to a point where now I'm actually diagnosed with migraines. But for my doctor, it was just headaches, and I'm just over dramatic. And sometimes, yes, I would just use them to get out of chores, you know, like, I've got a headache so that I don't have to do chores. And I think, you know, with periods, it's also similar. You know, they'll think, you're just crying period pains because you do not want to clean, or it's your turn to do this and that, and now you're complaining of that. So it's important to get a second opinion. Know your body. Only you know what it is that is going on in your body. You know if there's something funny happening in your body. So if you feel that something, it is not right, stand up, you know, stand up and say, no, actually, yes, you might think this is a headache, but I think there's more to this. Can I get a second opinion? And I commend you on that, Sisanda, that you actually took the time to record and write down everything that is happening, because with not writing down, you would not be able to explain what it is that is happening in your body. And your doctor, your new doctor, might not have been able to diagnose you with this. And I think going forward, you should really push to talk about this thing. I think your calling, it is to enlighten a whole lot of people. God placed you in leadership for a reason. He will never place you in a position where it does not lead to your purpose. So you failing along the way, it is also a learning curve, not only for yourself, but for people that have been looking up to you, to say, even Sisanda is not perfect. Yes, you have been seeing me as an overachiever, but this overachiever can also fall down. But here's the lesson in falling down. You don't stay down, you get up. You get up, you dust yourself off, and you move forward. It is so difficult to take a whole lot of pills. I mean, I struggle when I'm sick to just take my medication. I would just take the first 2 days, and going forward, I'm like, I feel better. So I can only imagine just the mental state that it took you on, because just taking on pills and realizing or being reminded that I'm taking this because I've got this condition. And now to add on that, it is the pressure of being at school. It is the pressure of expectations of other people because you're an overachiever, and you are alone. Literally, you're alone because you're used to being alone. So voicing out what you feel and what's wrong, it is tough, because who do you voice it out to? Especially being somebody that is being looked up to because you're a mentor. Who do I say I am actually struggling in this? And that's why sometimes your voice is also mummed, because you're somebody that is seen as someone that is strong. So it was important for God to show that you can also break down, to show the strength in you rising up. So yeah, I'll just leave it there before I start ministering a whole lot. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lady. You always come in and speak live. Thank you so much for that. The reason why I would like Dalito to come in as well is because I know he's also going to just add, on what everybody had said. But sometimes we just sometimes God wants you to reflect, sometimes to reflect and say, I want you to know I am in charge. I have a plan for your life. And that was a redirection for Sisanda. It was really a redirection for her to say, actually, as much as she had plans and aspirations, everything growing up, but God had different plans. So how do we then, Dalito, go, and what do we do? We really need to be in a push for us to sit down and say, okay, God, what's your plan? I raise my case. Or because people struggle with finding their purpose, and God has a purpose and a plan for everyone. So I don't know, over to you. Dalito, can you unmute your mic?
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you so much to our guest speaker. That was really bold, and just gave me a bit of insight of like what ladies go through, and just one thing came to mind to say, watinta bafazi watinta mbokoto. So yeah. You ladies are very special, and I just wanted to say that Sisanda's story it even made me shed a few tears because of the things that she's had to go through and the setbacks and everything. But one thing that kept on resounding is that the greater the destiny, the harder or the greater the challenges that you have to go through. And I just want to say to you, Sisanda, to say you have a great destiny ahead of you. Even the things that you set for yourself to say, I need to achieve 1, 2, 3, 4. They might not have, you may have been set back, you being an achiever and being a leader, and maybe it looks like you were drawn back, but still, these things were meant to destroy you, but it did not. It just made you stronger and wiser. And just like everyone has said and touched on to say, there is something great that God has been preparing for you. And the preparation process might have been hard. And it's also not just the preparation process, but also the enemy as well will see to say, here there is a great destiny, there is a great future. And he will try everything to bring you down, but still, God who created you for a purpose, and that will happen. Yeah. So even with all your endeavors, your future endeavors, continue to look to him, continue trusting him, continue even just learning more about him, because the more you learn about him, the more you learn about yourself. Yeah. So thank you so much, Sisanda.
Okay, I'm muted. Wow, thank you so much. You are making me emotional. You are making me emotional. And, thank you so much, Sanda, for coming in to share. And thank you, Dalisa, for that. You just took me back to that scripture that too much that is required, too much that it is given, much is required. So as you are gifted in a certain way, there will still be as much required from you so that you can get to that destiny. So you're a soldier, sis. You're a soldier, and I still learn a lot from you. For me, you are not my baby anymore. You are my sister, and you are my baby sister, and I'm learning a lot from you. I'm learning a lot from you. But of course, we can always take this offline before I become very emotional. We have Jedidah saying that, yes, just because someone always has it together, it doesn't mean they don't need help or encouragement. I think she was commenting on the fact that we said that we always thought Susanna has everything okay, so we never used to worry about her. And then Dikility is saying so true, or Jedidah is saying so true to what Jedidah was, Dikility was sharing, and that true, never a failure, just a redirection. Of course, it was a redirection. And then we have Lucy. Lucy says Lucy didn't want to unmute her mic or raise her hand, but she has a comment that says, "Thank you so much, Sisanda, for being brave enough to share your story. I really wish this audience was bigger, but we will spread the word. I really wish you all the best going forward with your mental health and your academics. I can see how systems do not accommodate certain issues that especially affect women, but I believe God has a plan for you 100%. Of course, Digaliti is saying that you did not fail, but won the fight against because, there's a lot that we could have unpacked in this conversation, but because of time, I have a lot of questions. I want to find out how, because it affected your skin. It also, of course, when your skin is affected, there'll always be comments from people, and you also have to build a very strong a character and be confident and show people that. But as you summarize, Sisanda, I want us to give us your whatever that you would like to leave us with from this conversation. But as you summarize, I want you to just take us into that as well, that how did you build your confidence and how did you become, because I can personally tell that you're doing better because I am with you, but how did you build that confidence and also the self-awareness and just loving who you are with whatever that is happening? So in that being said, you will be on talking, summarizing on the fact that adversity does not define you. Over to you, Susanna.
Thank you so much to everyone that had encouraging things today, and I receive everything. What I'd like to say, firstly, and I will say it again, I'll reiterate it at the end. People just want to be heard. People are not overreacting. People are not crybabies. Please hear people out. When they say something is not right, something is not right, especially when their bodies are concerned. Another thing, having to answer that question of building up my self-confidence and esteem, I'd like to think that having been exposed to so many people at a young age boarding school, I had to toughen up because yes, you'll build a good relationship this year with people. Next year, new people come and have nasty things to say. So I think my thing was just affirming myself that nothing anyone says will define me. I know myself, I know my heart, I know everything about me. Nothing will be said that will affect me so much that I can't carry on. People will always speak regardless. So I just might as well believe what I think of myself and how I see myself. And something else that I'd like to say, addressing Dikeledi. My mom is also around. She's been amazing also. I just talked about my dad because we were staying with our dad. So he's always been the one that was my to dial number, which is why he's been the one that I've been mentioning a lot. But just to wrap everything up, please don't be silenced when you know that something isn't right. Please pay attention to it. When your body is forcing you to take a break, please do take a break. Don't over exert yourself, because your body will give up. And when it gives up, please pay attention to it. And please just read. When doctors tell you that something, it's not much of a big deal. If you think it's a big deal, please take it seriously. Please write your things down, consult somewhere else until you get something that you are satisfied with. That's all I have to say. And again, please hear people out. Please do not silence people. That's all. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for that, Sisanda. We are taking notes, we are learning, and we thank God that He has strengthened you on your journey. And we cannot wait to just see this woman and this leader that you will become, and we'll be looking back and say, now it all makes sense. Actually, even now, it really does make sense. And you are a leader. And you can be anything. And thank you for teaching me that what people say does not define me, because you taught me that. All right. Thank you so much, Maggie. I see you have been struggling to go in and go out, but I would have really loved, your perspective on this. But our time is up, everybody. It is 6 minutes past 8. However, you can catch up these conversations on YouTube. So if maybe you feel like you did not, were not able to catch up everything, we'll share the YouTube link, and then you'll be able to, of course, listen and catch up. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Share this, spread the word, tell people about these conversations, because all we want is just other people's journeys and real life stories to say, I overcame mental health, and it does not define me. I am not defined by mental health. And also for us, to be aware and learn a lot about actually the things that make things like PCOS. We didn't know it causes hormonal imbalance, and we don't know these things. So we need to speak about these things so that we can learn from each other, because on your own, you can't know everything. My last comment is from Jadida, everybody. She says, what a wonderful session, everybody. Absolutely amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hosting us, and have a good night, everybody. From Jadida's word, good night, everybody. It was worth it. Thank you, Lucy, for joining. Thank you, Yami's iPhone. Of course, I do feel this is a conversation that, we need to just revisit this PCOS topic. But for now, please have a lovely evening. Good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining. Good night, everybody. Good night.
You know, Tabisa, when you said she's your niece, I was like, you're just calling it, like how people just adopt people. Like, I've got kids that are not my biological kids. We're not related in any way, but they call me mom. And I'm only 35. They're making me